Very excited now to be joined by my friend Glenn Greenwald. Krystal was out of the show and I said, who is the best possible person that I could talk to? And of course, it is Glenn here for his reaction to the debate. I appreciate you very much for joining me. Thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, happy to be here. You know, I've had a long-standing plan to overthrow Krystal and take her job, so hopefully this is my audition for that. Very excited. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it is. We'll audition you for sure. Glenn, you and I were just giggling literally before this segment because there is something just so delicious about both of us constantly just looking at the way that the media has been covering up for Joe Biden now, and for it to just come crashing down in front of their faces to expose them, honestly, as even bigger liars than we had seen before, has just been an amazing moment. So I mean, now we're 48 hours in or so into this. What has been your takeaway so far from the way that these people carried themselves for so long?
I think it's really important to remember that the people who first raised concerns about Joe Biden's cognitive decline and cognitive inabilities were people speaking in 2018 and 2019. And these were Democratic Party operatives, insiders, very worried that Biden was going to get the nomination kind of by default because he was by Obama's side, and thought they had this whole team of glittery new candidates who would do much better. And they were trying to warn people, including in public, this is not the same Biden. He's lost his fastball, using all these words. And it was a main theme of attack by people like Cory Booker and Julian Castro, who are running against him, when they would say things to him all the time like, hey, Joe, did you just forget what you said 2 minutes ago? It seems like you forgot what you just said. And this has been in the air for 5 years. And then once Biden got the nomination, it then became prohibited to raise it. The minute you raise it, they said, oh, that's a Sanders supporter or a MAGA fanatic attacking the character of this good man. But also there's been reporting, over the last year, including in the Wall Street Journal just a month ago, that was very deeply reported about how oftentimes in meetings, Joe Biden just kind of zonks out. He kind of disappears. He disorients. You can't hear what he's saying. What he is saying is nonsensical. And the idea that anybody in media was shocked to see this version of Joe Biden on the debate stage is such an insult to our intelligence. And that's especially true given that Americans, ordinary Americans,
yes,
plugged into nothing and nobody, have been saying this for years, that they could see this with Joe Biden. So the media kind of wants you to believe that they were the last people to see it. Of course, what happened is they got caught lying and hiding for him, attacking anybody who raised this over the last year as some sort of, peddler of disinformation. And they were forced to admit what everybody saw because even they, with their tiny credibility, couldn't deny it any longer. And now you have all these fraudulent narratives circulating about, oh my God, how this happened and who is to blame. They're all to blame. The Democratic Party, the Biden White House, his closest aides, and especially the corporate media who is aligned with it.
Yes, you have always been the best at surfacing that clip of Andrea Mitchell in 2019, who was asking openly about Biden's age. And then 6 months later, it's actually a stutter that only happened to materialize when he was 79 years old. From childhood, was dormant all of the years that we all watched him front and center in politics. And what we watch especially is people like Joe Scarborough and others who perhaps just have no shame. I mean, for 3 weeks ago, telling us that he was the most cogent of more than any House Speaker, even than Kevin McCarthy. And then now he's willing to say, actually, he should drop out. And at a certain point, Glenn, this is my wonder. Is this just a flash in the pan of the way that Andrea Mitchell was in 2019? Are we all just going to forget about this as it becomes clearer that Biden is going to stay in the race? Or was this actually a shattered, break the glass moment for the media and will we get somewhat fair coverage? I'm curious what you think.
My view originally in the 24 hours after this debate, when all of the media were clearly rattled and worse, and they were rattled and worse because the people who they usually listen to who tell them what to say, which are Democratic Party operatives in the Hill and Democratic Party funders and operatives and electeds, they were telling them, oh, this is panic mode. And so they were just repeating what they were being told. I never believed and still do not believe that Joe Biden will leave the race voluntarily because this is somebody who has never been a politician or anything else but a politician his entire adult life. He's been chasing this power and this title for 50 years, Saagar. He first ran in 1988 when he was forced out of the race for lying. And so I've always thought, well, look, once they realize Biden's not going anywhere, they're going to accept that he's the nominee and snap back into line. The problem that they have now is that they've been out there saying this for 3 days now. Biden must resign. The biggest media outlets in the world are saying it. There's no way to undo that and just go back to pretending, oh, that was just one bad debate night. In the scheme of things, he's still the person we want in the Oval Office. They're going to try. I don't see how that could be done, though.
I don't see how it can be done either. Another avenue that I've loved watching you combat is everyone's like, it's real pity that Biden performed so poorly, so we can't call out Trump's lies. As if Biden himself did not prevent, like, two massive lies on the debate stage, just to my knowledge. The first, perhaps most disgusting one, is denying that American troops did not die under his watch, when we both had those incidences in Afghanistan, and then most recently, those 3 American service members who were killed in Jordan as a direct result of his Israel and Iran policy.
I mean, how is it possible? Joe Biden went to the funerals of all of those people, those service members, and it's not just one time that he might have forgotten about it, it's multiple times. And, on top of that, there were so many lies that Joe Biden defended as well. If you're Daniel Dale and you're doing the little administrative accounting, maybe it's not quite as many. But I mean, the thing is, Saagar, the way they all talk about Joe Biden, oh, he's a fundamentally good, honest, and decent man. Yes. Joe Biden is somebody who's been lying about his entire life and himself for decades, and he still does it. He still tells the stories about how he was arrested trying to see Nelson Mandela, or arrested for participating in the civil rights movement. He makes up all kinds of stories about his family and himself, none of which is ever true. He, of course, Trump lies like a politician lies, but so does Joe Biden. And the narrative they're trying to create is, oh, yes, Joe Biden may have had a bad debate, or maybe he's even intellectually impaired, but that's way, way better than somebody who's an evil threat to democracy and a fascistic liar, because I think that's the thing that they really have been telling themselves for so long and now actually believe.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think they do believe that. And that line you just said about he's a good and a decent man is that he is a decent in their view because he lies the correct way. He lies about the things that you're supposed to lie about. He lies to justify the policies that they believe in. And then they smear anybody who doesn't believe that with that label of misinformation and more. And that is one where I just can't help but come back to what you originally said about how we are going to get to this point where they're going to try and bring us back to the lesser of two evils argument. And the only question is just how much credibility they're going to expend in the meantime. I think my real question for you, Glenn, is both in terms of the Democratic operatives and their legitimacy, is given the way of how slavish they have followed MSNBC and others, is this going to be a breaking point for them? Or do you think that they will actually think for themselves whenever it comes to election day and he's on the ballot?
I mean, I would put it more, not that the Democratic Party or the Biden White House follows MSNBC, but that MSNBC and CNN are usually doing the bidding of the Biden White House messaging. And here, obviously, they are not. And I don't think there's any way for CNN and MSNBC to go back to and undo what they've all been saying for days. Even they, with the tiniest little credibility that they have, that would be a step beyond their level of shame, which is as close to zero as possible. And I think that's the problem, is how do you rely on the people who have always lied for you and shielded you and helped you, which are these media outlets single-mindedly devoted to defeating Donald Trump, on the one hand saying that you are too mentally impaired to be the president, and on the other hand, continuing to work with them or use them as your primary media outlets when they've really gone very far for days now in what it is that they've been saying, with multiple media outlets, Biden's key media allies, saying he should withdraw from the race.
I mean, it's just such a shocking display here. I am genuinely so excited to see how it all plays out. And your feed and your show is the first place that I turn to. So thank you so much, Glenn, for helping me fill time here at the desk. I would rather have nobody else but you.
including Krystal.
Oh,
All right,
no, I
thank
didn't
you,
say that.
Saagar.
I didn't say that.
I know. I'm just kidding. We love Krystal. It was great to be on your show. Always good to talk to you.
Great to see you, man.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.